I'd like to talk about is what we call punching range, and that's obviously where my hands can reach his body, his face, his solar plexus, or wherever I'm aiming at here. One of the weapons I like the most here is a palm heel strike. I'm not a big fan of using punches to the face. You know, you punch into the body is one thing. You start punching to the face, it's very, very easy to break the small bones of the hand. In fact, boxers many times who train all the time have the hands wrapped, have gloves on, and with all that equipment on, and still many times break hands in fights. So you hit somebody and it's not just perfect. It's very, very easy. He moves a little bit and I hit his head, and especially if I hit it with the smaller bones here, the chances of that hand breaking are really very high. And you don't want to be in a self-defense situation and have a broken hand. It's not optimum. So I like to use palm heels. So again, we can use either hand. A lot of times we use what we call closest weapon, closest target. If I was in here and I'm in an assertive position here and I'm just telling him to back off and he starts to come in, I could use that forward hand immediately because it's very, very close. It only takes a second to get that out there and have him and at least have him turn his head. Now, it's not going to be enough to stop him or knock him out or whatever, but it may give you, depending on the situation, it may give you an opportunity just to run. It may give you an opportunity to set up a stronger strike and some other techniques that we'll be talking about later. A little bit of a trick with the palm heel that I like to teach my students. Instead of the normal palm heel position here, what I like to do is I like to hit with my hand slightly turned in and the fingers open. The reason is this. If you hit with your hand all the way back here, you can break your wrist. If the hand is cocked a little forward, it protects the wrist a little more. The other big advantage of it is if you notice my fingers, eye strikes are great, and I'm going to be talking about eye strikes in a second. The only negative part that I think that is not the best situation with eye strikes is that eye strikes are great if they hit the target. But if I throw an eye strike here, he tilts his head down and I tap him on the forehead with my fingertips, it's not going to do anything to him. One finger in the eye can change the whole fight. So this is kind of a sort of a safety gap. I'm striking with the palm heel strike, and I'm hoping I can catch maybe one or more of those fingers into his eye. If it does, fine. If not, the palm heel strike is still working. And I like that especially with the lead palm heel strike, the very first one that's coming, bam, coming out there. If I catch the eye, great. If I don't, bam, I'm going to follow up with another technique anyway. So that's our palm heel strike. Punching, like to go into the body. You can either punch vertically with the hand vertical, or you can twist. You can punch down into the groin. I talked about palm heel strike. Of course, you can slap into the groin from underneath as well, in close. So these are some of the punching ranges. The other thing that I like to use is what we call a flat fist. So in a flat fist strike, we're striking with the tips of the second knuckle joint. Okay, and normally that strike is going into the throat area. It can also be if you're a little in a sort of a close punching range, almost into a grappling range. You can use that inverted and close. It's hard to see, and you can get your body turned into it and really drive through it and land in here. Again, this is an area that big, strong guy, 6'4", 240, muscle. You hit him in the throat or in the eyes, as I said before, they're not any stronger than anybody else is. So it's a good technique to use. Flat fist strike. It can be used at a longer range in here, and it can be used for many different frontal attacks. Eye strikes, as I mentioned before, an eye strike can be done a number of ways. It can come straight in this way, straight in, working right into the eyes here. If you're in close, you can use the thumbs to work with eye strikes. Either a single thumb or actually both of them, grabbing in here and driving back. And as we get into some of the attacks later, I'm going to demonstrate how you can use those to get the person off you quickly. A back fist strike. And again, this is not going to be something that's you can use all the time, but a back fist strike is you're striking with the knuckles turned into the target here, and you're striking with them this way. You might be striking into the face. Temple area is a good place to use the back fist strike. Now, if the person's turned a little bit into the nose area, again, another effective way. And that usually just comes across. It can come straight in, but normally comes across the body and drives in this way. Similar is a hammer fist strike. Hammer fist is very good for self-defense because you can hit pretty hard. You can hit the head, you can hit something pretty hard without doing any really major damage to your hand. So this is a nice strike that comes straight in over here with a strike in this way into the face and temple area. From here you can also come into the groin, although I like slaps to the groin a little bit better than I do the hard punches. The groin seems to react better to a slapping situation than a hard punching situation. And both of them work, but the slap just seems to be a little bit more effective. As I mentioned before, from a punching range, you can also use the oblique kick. Even though you're that close, it'll still work at this range. You can also use a stomping kick from here. Boom, just coming right down on top of the foot or into the ankle and possibly breaking the ankle or spraining the ankle. So these are when you're getting sort of a borderline between punching range and you start to get into the grappling range. So these can work. Again, from the punching range, a stomping side kick, a low side kick down into the knee area, using the heel and edge of the foot can work as well. So these are some of the tools that you have from what we call the punching range. Okay. The next technique I'd like to talk about from punching range is something that's called a straight blast. This was something that was from the Chinese arts. It was popularized a lot of years ago by Bruce Lee. The straight blast basically is a series of punching techniques that come right up the center line, and they're directed towards the face. And they're done very rapidly. So if I were coming in, if he comes a little closer, and of course I want Chris just to back up here, but I'm going to come in this way, right up the center line, and repeatedly work those punches. Now, he basically needs to do something to avoid those. He's not going to continue to get hit. He's either going to bring his hands up to block them, but more typically what happens is the head turns. So as you're coming in, the head turns away, and that gives you the opportunity to start to use some other techniques. So straight blast is a very quick way, at times, to be able to get the person turned and to be able to get them fended off of you and give you the opportunity to get in close to use what we're going to get into next, which is going to be our stand-up grappling range.